Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, October the 10th, year 2019, show number 1231. I am your host, Shawn King, joined as always by my beautiful wife, non-Jewish wife, Melissa.
Hi. Hi.
Chaim. We got started on this because today is say it's sunset. It's almost sunset here. Last day of Yom Kippur. It turned out I knew Yom Kippur was important, but I didn't realize it was the single most important holiday in the Jewish calendar. And I didn't know what it actually meant. So obviously I did some research. Observers will use the time between sundown yesterday and sundown today to take stock of their lives, apologize for the wrongdoings of friends and families, and take steps towards self-growth in the year ahead.
I think that's beautiful.
That's a wonderful thing. People are prohibited from the following 5 activities during Yom Kippur: bathing, sexual relations, wearing leather shoes, I'm going to do some more research on that, anointing the body with oil, and eating or drinking.
So it's kind of withholding from those bodily pleasure things to kind of look more inner, it sounds like to me. I don't know where the leather shoes are coming into that, though.
You don't wish someone a happy Yom Kippur. You do say something along the lines of, let me find this now, where to go. The proper greeting during Yom Kippur is Gemar Hatima Tova, which translates from Hebrew to may you be sealed in the book of life. That's a lovely sentiment, isn't it?
It's very beautiful.
I think that's very cool. So to all of our friends who are observing, celebrating is the wrong word, observing Yom Kippur, may you be sealed in the book of life. I'm not trying to butcher your language anymore. We got talking about that because we were also talking about Jewish deli that we found here in Vancouver. Very hard to find. We don't have a very large Jewish population here in Vancouver. So Melissa and I were raving about the wonderful deli that we found last time we were over there in the big city. On tonight's show, we're going to talk to, as always, our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com about there's a couple of things that are going on politically when it comes to Apple. China is throwing its weight around. It has whacked the PP of the NBA because one of the NBA general managers said something that the government of China didn't agree with. Apple has been slapped around a little bit by the official news source of China because they reinstated an app that they had pulled, a Hong Kong app that allowed people to see where the police were during the protests that are going on in China. The logic behind it is that, well, this is public information. And that some people say, if you're coming off the subway in Hong Kong, you don't want to walk into a riot. You don't want to walk into tear gas, so you can use it. But obviously, protesters can also use it to avoid the police. We don't see a problem with that here in North America. It is a problem in China.
Of course.
And just recently, just in the last little while, where did it go? I had the story here. There's another story that Apple got itself into trouble with. An app called Quartz. The Chinese government requested Apple pull it, and they did pull it because it had a lot of information about the Hong Kong protests. I'm going to talk to Jim about this, and we want to know your guys' thoughts on it too. Is Apple caught between a rock and a hard place here, or have they stepped into a pile of doo-doo of their own making? It's not like this is unusual for China. It's not like this is a surprise that China is an authoritarian government that will crack down on its people. They have a thing called the Great Wall. Twitter is banned in China. Google is banned in China.
Yep.
They have very tight, strict controls over that, and yet Apple and other companies do business with China. And this is the result, that when you become too entwined financially, economically, manufacturing-wise, with a country that can then hold your purse strings, don't be surprised when they start doing that. We'll talk to Jim about that later on, but let us know what your thoughts are. Send us emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. We're also going to talk about Apple AR glasses are supposedly coming out by the middle of next year. So Apple glasses, like glasses with whatever might be in it. A little camera, a little screen here. I don't think this is going to happen. I can't see how Apple would do a headset like this. A headset, yes. One that virtual reality headset, maybe. But a set of glasses with a little camera in them, a little screen here, and it runs off your iPhone. And you'd say, with your phone in your pocket, your phone would ring and it would pop up a little thing here. Your wife is calling you, or here's your text messages, or hey Siri, what are my directions? Turn left here. So many people don't want to wear glasses that there's a whole multi-million, if not billion-dollar industry called LASIK surgery. Most people who wear glasses don't want to wear glasses. They'd rather not wear glasses. So how could Apple sell a device that are glasses? People say, well, it was the same thing with the watch. No, it's not. The watch is on my wrist. It's not in my face. It's not here all the time. I take off and put on or wear 24/7 or have to clean constantly. So I don't think the watch and the glasses thing is the same. I could very well be wrong. What are your thoughts? I can't see. Would you wear? You are the target audience for this.
Why is that?
Well, because Apple no longer. Apple's a consumer electronics company now, for the most part. They don't make single device or single tiny market devices. They're not going to make a device for 50,000 people. Mm-hmm. They want to make devices for 50 million people. So yes, the nerds are going to want Apple glasses. Yes, I get that. Apple can sell 100,000.
They're going to want them very much.
Apple's going to easily be able to sell 100,000 sets of glasses.
I agree.
Would you buy a pair of Apple glasses? Because Apple has enough issues when it comes to the fashion of a watch with the removable strap, which I thought was brilliant of them. How can they do that with glasses? Is Apple going to make frames that are in 18,000 different styles? That's what's going to happen. Because everyone wants a different style of glasses.
Everyone wants a different...
Mm-hmm. And everyone has a different prescription. Everyone has a different shape of glass that they want in those frames. The combinations are endless. Apple would have to partner with some eyeglass manufacturer. Luxottica is the world's biggest
I think people that
manufacturer.
don't need glasses would wear them.
You think people... See, that's an interesting thing. You think people who don't wear glasses would wear... Average, ordinary, everyday people. Mm-hmm. Not people who are nerds. You think they would wear glasses? Eyeglasses.
I think the nerds would.
Definitely the nerds, yes. I mean, I would like to look at them. Mm-hmm. But what I'm talking about is average people. Would you want to buy a pair of Apple glasses?
Potentially, if not me, but I can see other people going, oh, I'll try that, even though you don't need prescription glasses. And remember, some people need prescription glasses. If they do, they need them for distance or they need them for close. Mm-hmm. And how are you going to, if you are using them for directions, but you can't wear them when you're driving your car because you can't see, how would that work?
Exactly. There's so many different ways of looking at this. No, here's a perfect example. So I can't quickly pull this up for us to take a look at. Drop that into there. Hang on. Just give me a second here. Talk amongst yourselves. Now let me add audio onto this thing, and then we go there and add. And so this, in theory, should work.
This reminds me of a little kindergarten boy this year that's entered school. And he's wearing glasses because we just did the kindergarten surveys, but there's no glass in them. He wants to go to school and he just wears a pair of frames. He is so cute.
So look at these. What do you think of this? This is a mock-up. This isn't what Apple's going to sell. But this, I think, shows the problem Apple's going to have. If you don't like this style, and I don't, this is a very nerdy kind of style, Apple's going to have to sell you a style that you do like. Maybe you want blue or gray.
Are the frames going to be other... I'm sorry.
This is just a mock-up. No one has
I know,
any
but
idea.
because I'm just wondering if the... earpiece is going to be detachable, so you can have different frames, and then that attaches.
The problem with a detachable frame like that would mean that it would be difficult to. Then you have to expect the user to use a little tiny screwdriver to screw it on.
Oh, I didn't know if they were going to have some special way of. And
But
then you can.
even then, if the arm is a different color than these, no, I want blue glasses or tortoiseshell or whatever. Apple's going to have to sell those.
Well, gold or silver would do it.
For some people, yeah. But
Yeah.
others, because this is different than your iPhone. This is different than the watch. This is, you're looking right at me. You're going to see right at me. That's why you go to any eyewear place, and there's 1,000 different styles and shapes because people want 1,000 different styles and shapes.
But if I was in a big city, if I would, like I used to, drive around Vancouver and have it go from place to place to place across my day, I might just want them for directions. And that's all I would use them for.
Yep.
So, you know.
Then the other question becomes, the police have to worry about using these things for text messages.
Absolutely.
Because you're not supposed to text.
They're making another problem.
And MacMan says, and the first person who looks at someone funny in the restroom with that camera sticking out is going to get punched in the face. Absolutely. There's going to have to be some sort of way to let people know. This is one of the things that happened with Google Glasses, was that people were walking into bars, walking into places where they shouldn't be, with this camera on. And there was no indication that the camera was, in fact, on. Are you recording me right now? I don't know. And I don't want to take the chance. Take them off. That's going to happen a lot. I think the whole glasses thing is just a giant hairball that Apple shouldn't get involved in. Apple doesn't need to get involved in. Are we really crying out for more stuff on our face? I don't think so.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Like I said, I would use them just out of the curiosity factor. I would love to have this kind of stuff built into a motorcycle helmet. Some manufacturers have tried to do this, where when I put my shield down, I've got my information, speedometer and directions and that kind of stuff, things I need in order to ride the motorcycle. One of them has even got a backup camera. The camera's in the back of it, so you can see when people are coming up behind you in these little cameras. Little screens. And that's, I think, is a good idea.
I like it for the directions, but nothing else.
That's right. It's going to be very interesting to see if this rumor is true. We'll talk to Jim about that. And then later on in the show, we're going to have I have a question from Melissa. She wants to know more about Spotify and how she can use it. What's that look for?
This is just a boring, silly little question.
I don't think it is.
Such a non-nerd question.
No, you are not a nerd. So we don't expect I don't expect nerd questions from you. Don't worry about it. So all that and more coming up, folks. We'll talk to Jim Dalrymple right after this break. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me on the show this evening. In our phone now, we've got our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
Well, the Bruins are 3-0 to start the season. And like every good Canadian throughout the world, I am watching hockey every night. And right now I was watching the Buffalo Sabres kick the Montreal Canadiens' ass.
Oh, come on. What are you going to be like that for?
Let me see. Do you know the score? Oh, it's a commercial. I can't even tell you what the score is.
Do you use the does the NHL have a Major League at Bat sort of app?
Yeah.
And do you use that one, or you just watch whatever's on CBC or TSN?
No, I subscribe to the app because in the app, see, the app is brilliant because it gives you a home and away feed.
Yeah.
So I watch the Bruins games. That's my main thing. So I always watch the Bruins feed because it's from the New England Sports Network in Boston. So, they always talk about the old Boston players and everything that you would expect and want from your home feed. Well, they have that for every single team.
Yeah.
So if I watch it on Comcast or something, I could get any feed. I mean, they pick a feed and put it in there.
Yeah.
I watch the only games that I don't get on the Nesson feed is the only games I don't get are the ones that are broadcast on NBCSN. So the national games, like every week they have the NBCSN has a rivalry Wednesday game or something.
Yeah.
And sometimes the Bruins are on that. Those are the only games that I don't get. The rest of the year, I watch the Bruins home feed or, the Bruins feed and see all the games.
Yeah, those are fun apps. I use the Major League Baseball app one for the Yankees. So the Yankees are my favorite baseball team, and they allow you to watch just Yankees games. I don't care about the Cardinals and the Braves or anything else they get. So, but the other thing I like about it is I really, really like the Yankees announcers, their TV announcers. And actually, when there's a national game on and ESPN takes over or Fox, I generally don't watch those games. I can't stand listening to those guys. How much customizability do you have with the NHL app? Can you watch like picture-in-picture and watch 2 and 3 games at the same time? Can you choose stats to see and things like that?
I mean, the stats are in there if you want to see them. I'm not really worried too much about picture-in-picture because honestly, I'm only worried about the Bruins game.
Yeah.
So you can do a mosaic of cameras and you can do picture or 2 games at once. You hear audio out of one of them.
Yeah.
You can do stuff like that. Mostly the NHL app is pretty good. I find that for some strange reason in the third period, it just stops. It just stops, and it pisses me off every time it happens.
No kidding.
The Bruins win a lot, so I'm usually very happy. But the thing that gets me the most is that sometimes it doesn't. So if you stop playing a game, you can go back the next day and click on that game and it'll say resume because it knows that I was watching. And sometimes it doesn't remember where it resumed. So it'll go to like the end of the game, the last minute, and show me the score. And I'm like, oh, you bastard. So usually I don't. If for some reason I'm going out and I couldn't watch the end of the game, I look at where I am. And then I go the next day and I'll say start from beginning and go to that spot and start. So there's little quirky things like that happen. But yeah, I get every single game except the ones that are on national television.
This is one. The reason why I was bringing this up because this is one of those things that helps with us cord cutters. So those of us who don't have cable TV or don't want cable TV, these kinds of apps, especially for us sports fans, are interesting and important. I know I found it really interesting. This year I couldn't afford the whole MLB full season, but I bought the playoff version of it, and it was only $30. The whole season is almost $150. I couldn't afford that this year, but I can always go back and watch games from July. I heard that they played a great game against Minnesota in August, so I can go watch that game. But for me, the big annoyance was the commercial breaks. They keep showing you basically a blank screen during commercials, Or
Yes.
in the playoffs this year, they keep showing you the same freaking Apple commercials over and over and over again, and you can't skip past them, you dickheads.
Well, so if so if I go to the NHL app, and here's a tip for anybody that might watch games the next day. Oftentimes when I travel, I cannot watch the games, right? So there's just no time to watch the games. So when I get home, I might have 3 or 4 or 5 games to catch up on, which is great for me because I don't mind watching them. I don't look at the scores. So I'll put it on when it comes up with the blank screen. Well, actually, in the hockey app, it says commercial break in progress.
Yeah.
If you click the fast forward on the Apple remote 10 times, it goes right back to the game. And it's always 10 times.
Interesting.
Yeah. So 10 times, click the Apple remote, and it'll skip ahead. I know from experience that the intermissions are about 15 minutes long. So when the period ends, I just, skip ahead 15 minutes and the next period started.
Yeah,
so
right.
it works out really well for me to do it like that. And during the live games, I mean, there's nothing you can do. I always try and watch the Bruins live.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
I think for a cord cutter, I mean, it is like you said, $150, I think.
Yeah.
But for a cord cutter who likes sports, if you're a real hockey fanatic,
Yep.
I mean, for me, even to see the 82 Bruins games is worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
cool. Let's move on to more focused news. Apple, along with the NBA.
We're not done?
We're not done. We still have to keep going. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good talk. Good talk.
Good talk. That's right. Apple and the NBA and several others have gotten themselves in hot water with the Chinese government, basically for doing things the Chinese government doesn't want them to do. We all know the story. What are your thoughts on this? Is this something that is Apple's between a rock and a hard place, or has Apple put themselves between a rock and a hard place by dealing with an authoritarian regime?
Well, I mean, come on. Everybody's between a rock and a hard place on this one, I mean, I agree with the people that say, hey, we're in America and or in the Western world for that matter, and we have a right to say what we want. Yes, and China has a right not to broadcast NBA games, and you lose, potentially billions of dollars.
Yep.
They have that right too. So, you can say that I have the right to do this and I'm going to do it. Okay. Go right ahead.
But the problem with it is that you have the right to say it. They have the right to do it. But then the next part of it is, do you have the right obligation to back down because of the Chinese government cracking down on your product? That's where the problem becomes. When the NBA throws out apologies, when Apple reinstates apps or Apple pulls apps that the Chinese government wants them to do simply because of the money. That's all this is about. This is not about freedom of speech or anything else like that. It's because Apple wants to continue to make money in and with China. Does that become morally reprehensible for you?
Well, I don't know. These days, in this society, I think we've all kind of lost our view on what's morally reprehensible.
Yep.
There are a lot more things out there that I find morally reprehensible. But, yeah, I get it. I understand completely. And, I wish it wasn't happening, but it is. And China has the power to do it. And, America and the Western world, they have the power to do what they want to. It's just a matter of what consequences you're willing to accept. And I think we know that basketball is a huge sport over there.
Yep.
But, if they're not going to pay for it, then, the NBA is going to do what it's going to do.
But the problem is what the NBA is going to do is back down and acquiesce to the regime in China. Instead of just saying, you know what, we have freedom of speech. This is an American game. Our employees, our fans have the right to say what they want to say. If you're going to block us, that's fine. We'll take the monetary hit on that. Shouldn't that be what the NBA says instead of, oh, we apologize, we won't do this again, please keep showing our games in China?
Well, there's, and I'm not saying you're not right. I really am not. But for a change, I'm going to play devil's advocate.
All right.
And, if all of these basketball players want the salaries that they get, and the GMs and the presidents and all of that, then they need money to pay for that. I guarantee you that doesn't come from ticket sales. You're not getting paid $100 million or $200 million out of ticket sales from your local arena, even though the prices are, and they could maybe pay for a salary just off the hot dogs.
Yep.
But that comes from TV deals. You start messing up with those, you're messing with big business now. And, people are going to do what they're going to do. We as fans, there's nothing that we can do about that. I mean, I saw a headline. I didn't read the story. So if I'm wrong here, then I apologize. But there were a couple of fans escorted from a basketball game, because they had signs up about the Hong Kong protests.
In Philadelphia.
So, is that right? Well, probably not. Did they know that that was going to happen? Absolutely, they did. That's why they did it. Do we want protesters at every single sporting event we go to? I don't.
But to be fair, their protest was very low level. They were holding up a sign.
I understand.
That's not much of a protest.
But that they knew what would happen.
Sure. No. They did not expect to be thrown out of the game for tickets for seats that they had paid for. I know they didn't expect that. They said that in the interview I saw.
Well, I'm not saying that either side is right or wrong here. Is it bad that an authoritarian government is dictating what can happen at sports arenas in the United States? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are the franchises in the U.S. willing to stand up, and the league? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
They're not.
As where to go? As Mosquito says, this compliance with Chinese government demands over hurt feelings is chilling. And I think that's the bigger picture, is that this is going to send a message. This is why China's doing it, sending a message to everyone who wants to do business with China that you do business our way, or we have the economic power to force you to either lose money, to not sell in the largest market in the world, not manufacture in the largest market in the world, that this is going to have a chilling effect on free speech, not just in China, but everywhere. And that part is kind of terrifying.
It absolutely could. I mean, he is absolutely right in that statement. At what point does the NBA or these companies stand up and say no?
Yep.
Well, it depends on how much they're willing to lose.
Yep.
And that's all that it comes down to, as far as I can see. I mean, does China have the world's manufacturing?
Yep.
Yeah, they do. Do they have the largest population where they can sell the NBA? Yeah, they do, and it's popular. The NBA probably makes more billions of dollars over there than what we could even fathom.
Yep. The NBA has more viewers in China than America has people.
Yeah, right. I mean, so are they going to rock that boat? It would appear not.
Yeah.
And is that wrong? That depends on your view. Is what's going on in with the protests and everything over there wrong? In my opinion, yes.
Yeah.
It is. And what can we do about it? I honestly have no idea. And I've read so much about the protests and listened to the CBC as it happens, so much about the stories that they've done on the protests.
Yep.
And nobody seems to know what we can do about this. So it's not just, a company or a sports franchise and league. It's the world. Nobody knows.
Well, see, I find that to be a cop-out. I mean, everyone knows. What you do is you stand up for what you believe in. You stand up for the values of your society. You don't stand up for money. As John Gruber
Well,
said on Daring Fireball, he said, worse, multinational megacorporations like Apple and Disney are put in a bind. They must choose between speaking up for values such as the right to privacy and freedom of speech or making money in the Chinese market. And I corrected Gruber, in my opinion, on Twitter, and I said, no, you should say they choose between those values and making more money in the Chinese market. It's not like any of these companies are going to go broke if they don't sell into China. Apple will still make untold millions of dollars and still sell untold millions of iPhones if they stood up to China. That's the problem. Our corporations, as Gruber also said, we're looking for leadership from for-profit corporations on this front. We're not going to get leadership from them. It's just they can't do it, because if Apple did stand up, and Tim Cook doesn't agree with any of this stuff, and if he stood up and said, we are not going to kowtow to the Chinese government, and the Chinese government then punished them for that in any number of ways, Apple's market value wouldn't go up because the company's standing up for values. It would tank.
mm-hmm.
It would tank, and Tim Cook would rightly be fired because his job is to make money for the stockholders. So the thing to do is to stand up for the values of your society against China.
Let me just say that Tim Cook's responsibility as CEO of Apple is to make money for the shareholders.
Yep.
That is it. That is his responsibility. Now, if Tim Cook, and this goes for every other CEO, by the way, I'm not singling out Tim,
yep.
but if Tim Cook can do that and have some social policies for Apple to treat people better and to treat the environment better and to go above and beyond government regulations, then that's fine. But his number one responsibility is to make money for the shareholders.
Yes, agreed.
That's it. So I think that it's important to keep that in mind as people, rip into companies and things like that. And I guess the same could be said, if we're talking CEOs, the leader of the NBA too is, I guess, his number one responsibility is to the shareholders, which would be the franchises and the players.
Yep, I agree. It's
it's this is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that I disagree with what anybody is saying about this. I just think that standing on your moral high ground in a situation like this is a losing proposition for a CEO. Can we as individuals say, we think this is wrong? Absolutely. No. Can the CEO of a company? Probably not. So
it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think the vast majority of users of these products, whether it be NBA or Disney or Apple, really actually think about this or care about this very much. If they did, and if they somehow rose up to boycott or complain, maybe then these corporations might be more beholden to their native users as opposed to the Chinese government. But until that happens, these companies are going to continue to get pushed around by China in any number of ways. This is not the first example of it. It won't be the last. This is going to continue on as long as China's goals are different from those of us in the so-called West. That's just the way it's going to be.
Well, I don't disagree with you there either.
Let's move on. Ming Chi Kuo, Apple analyst, renowned for making guesses that are sometimes accurate, not always, has said that sometime in the first half of 2020, Apple's going to launch an AR headset. And everyone's assuming this means Apple glasses. First of all, do you give any credence to this rumor?
Well, okay. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again right now. And that is, does Apple have an AR headset in Cupertino? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's no doubt in my mind they
None.
do. And they've had for a while.
Yep.
This is the kind of stuff that they have to have
Yes.
to look forward, to try things out, to see what they want to be able to do. Now, I think where some of these rumors come and go from people is that they hear about prototypes and think that they're real products.
Yes.
Now, I will say that this guy he's been pretty good over the past couple of years. Yes, people make mistakes. He hasn't been perfect, but he's been pretty good. So, will we see an AR headset? Well, everything points to saying they will have something.
Yeah.
Because the past 2 years in particular, Apple has been very big in AR. They have been very big, and there's been a big push at Apple for AR. So, could that be something? Could be.
We were talking about this before you came on the air. Do you wear glasses?
I wear reading glasses.
Do you want to wear reading glasses?
No.
Would you rather not wear reading glasses?
Yes.
Under what situation, therefore, do you think you would wear AR glasses?
Well, and that's the thing, isn't it? I can't see a situation where I would wear AR glasses.
Yeah.
Unlike products like the watch, I used to wear a watch, now I wear a watch every day again. Yeah. Do I see a situation where I could wear a watch given what it does? Absolutely. Do I see a situation where I could wear glasses every day for something? I don't see it myself,
yeah.
But Apple has a way of surprising us. And if this is like a gamer edition thing, that's cool. Let the gamers do their AR stuff and all is good. I don't need to be part of that. Just like Apple Arcade, I think it's great. The response seems to be great. Do I need to be a part of it? No, I don't. And maybe this AR headset is the same type of thing. Maybe Apple is figuring out a way to make this more mass consumer as opposed to a gamer thing. But that's the only real thing that I can. Every time I've talked to Apple about AR, I've brought up the same thing. Like I need this to be a mass thing where everybody. Now, if I had an Apple AR headset and I could go to the grocery store and say, the next thing on my list is this, where the hell is it?
Yeah.
and it would direct me to it. Yeah, okay, I can see that. I would take my AR headset for that because I walk around endlessly in the grocery store. Can't figure out where the hell anything is.
But in theory, you could do that with the Apple Watch and your iPhone. Right? I mean, your Apple Watch can give you directions. We've seen that Apple has had these beacons for years, and now with the new UW chip, it's going to be even more localized. In theory, that could happen with the Apple Watch and your iPhone. You don't need glasses to do that.
Well, but you can't right now because I'm still wandering around aimlessly. I look like the homeless guy on the corner, walking around the grocery store with my cart looking for things, which... I mean, it's getting tiring having people look at me like, oh, my God.
And have you ever had your local grocery store, your local supermarket, just like over the weekend, change where everything is?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you bastards. Yeah. Eggs are supposed to be here. we moved them down there. Why? Don't move shit.
And then I look really stupid shuffling along with my cart.
I'm the exact same way, man. The same way.
And it doesn't help that my cart's full of garbage that I picked up along the way and, from under the bridge and
stuff.
I'm
surprised they even let you in the store with those things.
Well,
But
they're used to me now. They know I'm harmless.
It's just one of those things that I can't see the majority use case for it. Yes, you can see it for a watch because your watch isn't isn't in your face. And like I said, most people don't want to wear glasses, even those who do wear glasses. I would much rather, as good looking as I am in glasses, I'd much rather not wear them.
Oh God, I just threw up in my mouth.
Because I forget where they are. I got to clean them all the time. They get a little uncomfortable. Blah blah
I
blah
can't
blah
even
blah.
believe. I still can't believe you're married.
Well, there was that too. Well, that's because she needs glasses. That's why,
Well, yeah. Wait till she gets these new glasses.
I'm dead in the water. It's right
Yeah,
there.
you're done.
So I just as cool as an idea as it seems to be in a very Star Trek-y kind of future.
Hold on. We have no idea, and this is the other thing that Apple is really good at. They're really good at fooling us into thinking it's one thing, and then this other thing pops out, and you say, "Wow,
Yeah.
this is really cool." So, I mean, it's fine to say, based on what we know and the technology that's there, that it's going to be this, and we think that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's fine. But that may not be reality.
But glasses are glasses. They have to have that form factor. There's no choice. You can't redesign glasses. They've got to have two lenses. They've got to go over your ears. That's just the nature of glasses. You can do different form factors for phones and for watches and for those kinds of devices, but glasses are glasses. Since Ben Franklin first invented bifocals, they're always going to be the exact same.
Until there's a monocle, I don't want it.
I just had this visual of you wearing a monocle. That's a funny thought, man.
Imagine if I walk into the Safeway with my shopping cart and a monocle.
One eye all scrunched up.
Yeah. Look out for the elephants. Yeah, they won't think I'm crazy at all.
Not at all.
I'll have Jumanji going on in the store.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is don't base anything on the technology that we have now, because I think that Apple, if they're going to release something, will be further ahead in what they're going to release. And, it could be a targeted device.
Yeah.
So if it's for gamers, then that's a totally different thing than if it's for the mass market.
Yeah, I can definitely see very specific uses for it. I love the idea of. I had it happen when I went to the Guggenheim in New York City many years ago, and they offered you I think it was to rent a audio tape and headset kind of thing, where you could walk around and listen to the descriptions of the paintings. Imagine those either with an AR app on your phone that you held up to the painting and would give you information, or they would rent you these AR type glasses. In very specific situations, I can see how that working. Even Google Glass is very useful in very specific instances. I saw a great demonstration of Boeing engineers or Boeing technicians using it to rewire the inside of a plane. They had the schematics on the Google Glass, and they could see the blueprints right there. That kind of very specific stuff I can see being a use case. But Apple doesn't do that kind of thing. Apple doesn't build devices for these very niche markets. Well, they build them for the mass consumers. And I can't see mass consumers wanting to put glasses on their face.
Okay, two things. First, don't forget that after using those Google glasses, Boeing came out with the 737 MAX. So there's that.
Are you blaming Google for that?
Well, now I am.
Bit of a stretch, but I'll go with you. Gee, conspiracy theory much?
Hey, you called me.
This is true.
You called me.
I asked for this. You're right.
You're right. Secondly, I can't remember the last thing that you said.
What I'm saying is I can't see this being
a
consumer level product.
Shut up. Okay. So here's the thing about that, and I agree with you. Not a consumer level product. But what is the best selling category in the App Store?
Games.
So could Apple make a lot of money off of a product that featured AR, that was a headset for gamers,
Yep.
I think they could. I
Yep.
really do.
I wouldn't disagree
So
on that.
would a gaming AR headset make sense for Apple to do?
No.
I don't know the numbers. I don't. But one of the biggest markets in the world in any software, and probably not hardware, but in any software, I think would be gaming.
No. Yeah, I certainly agree with that, because I know even the AR stuff that we have now, as fun and as cool, as interesting it is, you're still holding up your iPhone screen in front of you and walking around things. It's not a natural way of doing things. Having glasses on your face and having hands free, that could be. The downside again is, what about those people who do need glasses? They, in theory, they're not going to put AR glasses over top of their regular glasses. They're going to need a special prescription lens for those glasses.
But
there's a whole fashion industry aspect of it that we talked about earlier.
I think you're going way beyond what we know into things that you're assuming.
But Apple has to make glasses that people want to wear. They have to be. Glasses are not just for seeing. They're a fashion accessory as well.
Could be. Remember a couple of years ago when you said Apple was going to make a car, and I said no, they were going to make software. You thought that I was crazy then.
Bullshit! It's the other way around! You lying bastard!
Oh boy, that was good.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking, wait, no, wait a minute!
That was pretty good.
You like that, did you?
Oh, I did like that because I knew exactly what was going to happen. Although, to be fair, I never said that they were going to make a car. But
True,
I did agree with you. But yeah, that was, boy, that worked better than what I thought. Jeez.
Oh man, let's move on now. Apple lands big money deal for Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell musical film A Christmas Carol. I read this on The Loop. In this quote, Apple has emerged victorious after shelling out for A Christmas Carol, a new, wait for it, live-action musical based on the Charles Dickens classic to star Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. I do not want to see this.
Yeah. So the big question there for me is, did they really win?
Exactly.
Did they win? Or did everybody else just pull out at the last minute and say, sucker?
Fees for talent alone will clock in at north of $60 million, according to insiders. Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
A Christmas Carol is going to cost $60 million. It's going to be a musical? Are you kidding? That's just going to be the worst thing I've ever seen.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, I like Ryan Reynolds.
I love Ryan Reynolds.
All good stuff there. But as soon as you say musical, I'm out.
Exactly.
I don't want to see a musical of anything.
Anything.
If you said, hey, do you want to go out and see a show? Yeah, great, let's go. And we got there and you said, oh yeah, it's the musical. I'm out. I don't care if I flew 10,000 miles to get there. I'm not going.
That's just the concept itself is just so freaking bizarre as to be just unwatchable. There's no, because and I will admit my bias. I love the 1952 version with Alistair Sims, black and white. Right. I watch that every Christmas. I love it. Never did like the Bill Murray version, Scrooge, because I love that classic one. So I'm biased already, but just live action musical, Christmas Carol, Ferrell, Reynolds, no.
There's no such thing as live action music.
I know, it's true.
No such thing. I mean, unless you have like The Rock and The Who there, that's a live action musical. God. Other than that, forget it. No, I don't care.
We were talking earlier about form factor in eyeglasses and how things some things have to be a certain form factor. Did you see this? That this was on Fast Company. Andy Rubin should stop designing smartphones. Did you see his latest version?
I did see that.
Oh my God! What did you think when you saw that thing?
What are you supposed to do with it? Strap it on your back?
I don't know.
because it's not going in your pocket.
It looks like a remote.
It does. I mean, yeah. Good luck to. So he got $90 million from Google.
Yeah.
He bought a ton of cocaine.
Yeah.
And he came up with this.
He came up with this. This was the best he could do. Was this ridiculous looking device that no one's going to buy. No one bought it in its first version. It's called the Essential phone, and there's nothing about this phone that looks essential. It brings up the question, though, people are always talking about, I know Dave Mark beats this drum on the Dalrymple report on a regular basis. He wants a smaller form factor phone, but I don't think this is it.
Well, I mean, Wozniak came up with a better remote in 1970s than
That's
this.
right.
So, you know, I'm not on board. I mean,
No.
and yes, Dave does beat that drum, and a lot of people beat that drum.
Sure,
and
yep.
Could you? I mean, one of my favorite phones ever was that little tiny Nokia.
Yes.
You remember that? That
Yep.
little tiny Nokia was just a brilliant phone because it was very small, would fit in your pocket. But that was after a time when we literally had a phone called the Brick.
Yes.
And the Brick was monstrous. You could literally build a house with these things. But then they came out with this little tiny Nokia, and it would get lost in your pocket.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? So that was a brilliant phone, but we're kind of away from the little tiny phones now, and we're going more to computers in your pocket. Well, I don't see us getting back to those tiny phones,
No.
but I also don't see us going to a remote looking phone either that's so long and skinny that where the hell are you supposed to put it?
Well, I think the key is what you're going to do with your phone. If, like the vast majority of us, it's not a phone per se, it's more of a communication device. I need to look at it to read emails, to read web pages, text messages, to be able to write emails and text back to people. This kind of form factor just simply doesn't work for those kinds of things. It just is a no-go. If all you want is a phone, maybe this would work. Or if all you want is a camera, maybe this would work. But even then, because of the weird dimensions of it, you're not going to be able to see photos on it very well. I think this is Ruben just desperately trying to do something that's different from what everyone else does, and he's failing at it miserably.
Maybe you could turn it sideways and look like that black guy from Star Trek.
That black guy? Jeez. Geordie
Well, you know who I
LaForge, you pillock.
Yeah.
God, you're
Geordie
such a
LaForge.
barbarian.
Well, you knew who I was talking about, though, didn't you?
I did. I knew who you were talking about. Folks, I've been talking to Jim Dalrymple the Loop. What?
Hey, wait.
What?
Why are you getting rid of me so soon?
I thought it was a good time to end.
No. What about...
Oh, my God.
Why aren't you going to ask me about this moronic article on Washington Post about the AirPods and their battery?
That's an interesting... yeah, okay. Give the audience the background and then your thoughts on it.
Okay, so Jeffrey Fowler, who absolutely hates everything in the world and has never written a decent piece about technology in his life, wrote an article and posted today about and he focused on a couple of different things, but he didn't really have a focus, which was kind of strange. But he focused on two things. First, the battery life of the AirPods. His battery only lasted for 34 months.
Yeah.
3 years. His battery lasted, and he's complaining about his battery only lasting for 3 years.
Yeah, but...
No, there is no but. Then he gets the whiniest person he could find about being able to fix shit yourself because he sells kits to fix shit.
Yeah, yeah.
From iFixit.
Yep.
And just to be clear, I like Kyle.
Yeah, so do I.
I've known Kyle for a long time,
Yep.
but still.
He's whiny.
To talk about how these can't be fixed. These are fucking disposable items. Now,
yes.
So then Jeffrey Fowler talks about how they hurt the environment if you don't take them to Apple so that they can recycle them properly.
Yep.
Well, then isn't that your problem? Apple will accept them to recycle them for free. If you choose not to take them to Apple, then that's your problem, not Apple's.
But Apple designed them, his argument would run, and this is me being devil's advocate, designed them so that they can't be, the battery can't be replaced. They designed them to be disposable. They never said that. They never will say that.
They are disposable.
But they shouldn't be disposable.
Oh,
is the point.
Yeah, you're going to make me open up a whiskey bottle instead of a beer bottle here.
But
look, I think if you're going to buy something like that and it lasts for 3 years, good. You're good.
But as Gruber says, when you think about it, it's rather ridiculous that once the batteries in AirPods die, they're disposable. AirPods disposability is a problem, and it runs counter to Apple's staunch pro-environmental messaging.
How does it run counter to their staunch environmental messaging when you can take them to Apple and they will dispose of them environmentally friendly?
But why do I have to go to Apple and do this?
Because you're going to buy another pair.
What if I got them on Amazon?
Well, then you're stupid. Because there's all kinds of fakes on Amazon.
True. But and also, as Gruber points out, this is a problem with the category itself. All of these little tiny AirPods type thing devices are unfixable once their batteries die.
They are not made to be not everything needs to be fixable.
Yeah.
And this is what gets me, because who did he go to? Kyle. Yep. Who, as he said in the article, oh, if you have this version of the Samsung, Kyle sends a cell kit that you can buy to replace the batteries. I bet he does.
Yep.
You
but
know, and
as others have pointed out, that kit's fairly useless too.
Well, but he still sells it.
Yep, he does.
And to me, that's just being dishonest.
Yep. Yeah, it's
now you can end your goddamn show.
On that note, folks, we've been talking to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. I'm not even going to mention any of his other podcasts because you won't listen to it. It's full of bullshit like this. You don't want to listen to that crap.
I remind you, you called me.
I did. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks a lot.
Talk next week, buddy. See ya.
Bye.
See, it's that kind of comedy that you just can't get anywhere else, right? I mean, no one else has as much fun with Jim Dalrymple as I do. Jim and I have known each other for more than 20 years now. We can just do that to each other. Oh, dear. I saw this on Twitter, and I wanted to mention to you guys before I forgot. There was a thread by a guy named Peter Gunst. The short version is Peter, he said, was just subjected to the most credible phishing attempt I've experienced to date. And phishing, as we all know, is an attempt by a scammer to con you into giving up security information. He says that he gets a phone call. And the phone call said, "Hi, this is your bank. There was an attempt to use your card in Miami, Florida. Was this you?" Me. No. So the bank says, okay, we blocked the transaction. To verify them speaking to Peter, what's your member number? At that point, he says later on, he realized that it was a phishing scam. But at that point, when my bank says, what's your member number, and they've called me unbidden, The next thing you do is say, thank you very much for letting me know this. Let me call you back. You get your credit card. You call the 1-800 number on the back of the card. Do not continue this conversation with someone who's called you when you haven't seen any problems or reported any issues. That's where people get caught up in this stuff. They continue to talk to this person because they've social engineered the conversation to make you believe that the call is coming from your bank. It might even say on your caller ID, my bank in Miami. This is me. Answer. Do not believe that, because those things can be scammed. If someone from your bank or Apple or Microsoft or any company you do business with claims to be calling you, say, thank you very much for letting me know this. I will call you right back. If you want to ensure they're a scammer, you say to them, what's the number I should call you at? They won't give it to you. They don't want you to call them back. Regardless, I can guarantee you that any number they give you, when you check it against the number of your bank or in the back of your card, will not be the same. And even if it is the same, good for you. All you've done is one extra step to confirm this stuff with your bank. He went on to say that they almost got him to give the scammer his PIN number, but he was able to notice this was a scam attempt before that could happen. When we come back from this break, we're going to talk I Have a Question with my lovely wife, Melissa. She's got a question about Spotify. All that and more coming up. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on the show, along with my lovely wife, Melissa. You have a question for I Have a Question.
Oh.
What question do you have?
Very.
Don't.
So.
Don't
Well,
minimize.
first of all, I have a couple of questions.
I was teasing her, but not teasing her. Don't minimize your questions because they're not nerd questions. That's fine. You are, as I've always said, the voice of the average person. So the question you have is a very good question, one that other people have asked in various ways and places.
Oh.
So don't think that's a bad question. There's no such thing as dumb questions, just dumb people.
True. It's true. So if I'm driving along and I think, oh, I'm in such a melancholy, sad mood, I need to listen to that song that I like to sing to. If I go into my Spotify playlist, am I using my data if I play it while I'm driving along in the car?
First of all, where's your phone?
Right there next to me.
Okay. Ask Siri to open Spotify.
Well,
No, right now, physically, where's your phone?
oh, my phone now?
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the kitchen.
Go get it.
Oh.
We'll wait. Do, 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 do. I'll probably get in trouble from Jeopardy Corporation for using their theme song. I wanted to, because this happened to you today, and I wanted to have the audience see what happened. So there you have you did this earlier this afternoon. So
I said, "Hey Siri, open Spotify." So she says, she said you'll need to unlock your phone first.
One of the things I find annoying about the convenience of using Siri when you're driving is that.
I know.
That I've got hands free. It's not legal for me to pick up my phone to do anything, but Apple has very helpfully allowed me to use Siri for things. So Siri, do this. Siri says, I can't till you look at me.
Well,
I can't look at you.
I have a comment on that though, because if I'm driving along, I can say, "Hey Siri, text my husband," and she'll kick in.
That's right. She'll do it for some things, but not everything.
Yeah.
She'll do it for Apple stuff. So ask Siri to open Maps.
Hey Siri, open Maps.
It opened.
So it's an Apple.
It's an Apple. It'll open Apple things. Hey Siri, open Safari, or Hey Siri, open Mail. It'll open Apple things because Apple says you can trust our stuff. We trust our stuff. But I should be able to, in a preferences for Siri, say, I trust Siri as the user. Sorry, I trust Spotify as the user. When I say, Siri, open Spotify, do it.
I would like that, yeah.
So I don't have to pick you up in order to look at it and risk an accident, risk a fine, risk all that kind of stuff. So anyway, you were saying about Siri.
Well, I was asking... so first of all, I can't ask Siri to open Spotify. I've got to kind of I'm saying what I do. I get my phone and I find Spotify and line up my song that I want to listen to.
Yes.
And then I think, while I'm driving along, I think, oh, am I using my data while I listen to my favorite songs while I drive to work?
The answer? It depends. And then the other thing, okay, the way I was explaining this to Melissa is that you said, but I said, yes, it uses your data. And you said, but I pay for Spotify. You pay the $10 a month for Spotify for access to Spotify's app and their library of 500 million songs.
Mm-hmm.
What you've done is you've given Spotify $10 and told Spotify, let me listen to any song I want to. And Spotify is happy to do that. You have to remember, though, those songs aren't on your hard drive. They're not physically on your iPhone or on your desktop. They're on a computer somewhere else in the mythical cloud. They're basically on a server, on a hard drive in some other location. And when you ask Spotify to play that song for you, Spotify says, just a moment, and it takes milliseconds. It runs to the server, goes through its list, finds that song, starts playing that song, and then sends the sound to you. Sends the data file to you so you can hear it on your phone. And that's the key. It's sending the data file to you. So it's sending you data. We generally have to pay for data if we're not on Wi-Fi. So if you are sitting in a coffee shop, you're at Starbucks or a friend's house, and you're using their Wi-Fi, that wouldn't cost anything against your data cap or wouldn't cost you any money. If you are on cellular connection, that will cost you data, and that depends, and whether that costs you money depends on how
much data you
how much data you use. And the problem is nowadays it's very easy. And I bring this up because for a lot of our American friends, they have unlimited data plans. We ain't got those things in Canada.
Oh.
Melissa and I are limited to 4 gigabytes of shared data per month, for which we pay the exorbitant fee of $200 a month for 2 phones, 2 phone lines, and 4 gigabytes of shared data. Hey, tell us, look at me when I say
I agree.
So we have to sort of keep an eye on our data plan. For me, it means turning my phone off 95% of the time. I don't use my phone. I'm sitting here most of the time. 95% of the phone calls I get are spam calls anyway. So I turn off my cell. So Melissa gets most of the data. So if you are going on a long road trip, if you're going to go for 4 hours and you're going to play music the entire time, then yeah, you might end up using up quite a bit of data. Spotify will try to send you the best quality song it can based on your connectivity, and usually the file sizes of those are relatively small. But I want to listen to all of Prince's music. That's going to cost you quite a bit of data, megabytes and megabytes and megabytes, possibly even gigabytes. The way to get around that is by downloading songs onto your iPhone. Once they're downloaded on your iPhone, and you can test this yourself, put your phone into airplane mode, go to your Spotify playlist and see if you can play a song. If it's on your hard drive, it'll play. If it's not, it'll say you must connect to the internet to get this song. That's how you can test whether or not this actually works. The other thing is do what you and I did when we went to Nelson this past summer. We just created a playlist. The two of us added songs that we liked to a couple of playlists, and then I downloaded the playlist to my iPhone so that when we were riding, I didn't have to use our cellular connection in order to play those songs. When it played the songs, it played them over Bluetooth.
I don't. Well, what? That's what I'm asking. Why?
That's what I'm about to explain.
Oh.
It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bluetooth is what's called a near field communication. So it's basically, think of it as within arm's reach inside your house. Yeah. Bluetooth works that way. It doesn't use Wi-Fi. You can turn your Wi-Fi off and use Bluetooth. It's a very low bandwidth, low power way of communicating to devices. So Bluetooth sends the sound file, the sound from my phone to the headset in a motorcycle or to the headset of your.
I see, like my little speaker that I do yoga to.
Exactly.
Okay.
When you play Spotify, a downloaded Spotify song off your phone to your Bluetooth speaker, that doesn't take up data. You're not using Wi-Fi.
What if it's not downloaded?
If it's not downloaded, then yes, but only the one time it gets sent to your phone, not the second time it gets sent to the speaker. Think of that as being a simultaneous connection. It's going straight from Spotify servers to your speaker. Think of it that way. And your phone just the middleman for it. But it would cost you data if you were streaming the song as opposed to playing a downloaded version of the song.
Sorry, I just need to clarify.
Sure.
So I haven't downloaded my music that I do yoga to is not downloaded.
That's right.
But if I'm at my home, it's okay.
Yes, because you're using
because I'm on
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Okay, it's interesting because Monty said he asked Siri to open Maps, and she said that he needed to unlock his phone.
Try it again.
Hey Siri, open Maps.
You'll need to unlock your iPhone first.
So maybe it was unlocked when you did it last time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if that's an Apple app, then...
Try it again. Ask it to open Safari.
Hey Siri, open Safari.
You'll need to unlock your
So
iPhone first.
I guess maybe it's not. Maybe your phone was unlocked when you did that.
Yeah. Siri's gotten awfully chatty these days.
She's gotten annoyingly chatty. Have you noticed this in the new iOS 13? You quite often, when you ask Siri a question, she'll say, just a minute, and then give you the answer. Or just
Hold
a minute,
on a sec.
Hold on a second, or just shut up,
I
okay?
know.
Just do it. I don't need to know that, I'm thinking. I don't care.
I know.
I find it really annoying.
And the fact you guys have to hear this funny story. So my 13-year-old is at the table the other night, and he did a little, hey, Siri, pretending to be me. She actually answered him, and we were all
That shouldn't work.
It shouldn't work. And he was hysterical.
Okay, hang on. Let me try it.
Yeah, he was hysterical.
So
We all were.
We're teasing poor Melissa and making fun of her Australian accent and her voice, and it worked, and it shouldn't have worked. So let me try it. Hey Siri. Didn't work. Do it again. What did you do?
Hey, Siri.
Hey Siri, open up. I can't do it.
Yeah, but my son did it, just trying to tease me. And my phone was over on the cupboard, and she answered, and we all just lost our...
Cracked up. It should not have worked, but it did.
No.
So does that help with the figuring out Spotify?
Yes, well, that means that I suppose. See, the thing is, it takes away the spontaneity for me because I don't want to download every. I mean, I'm making playlists all the time
Yep.
to do my yoga practice too, and I don't want to download all of them. So that means if I'm going to work and I spontaneously want to listen to my favorite songs, I'm going to have to kind of. I guess I have to sit and prepare and download
it's a
those
pain in the
songs.
ass.
But if I say to her, play this song, will she play it?
Try it.
Oh, I don't know what's downloaded though.
We'll just ask. Okay, say, hey Siri, play Little Red Corvette.
Okay. Hey Siri, play Little Red Corvette.
I couldn't find Little Red Corvette in your music.
So she's looking for your music, your Apple Music library.
She's looking for Apple, and I don't have
You don't
Apple
have
Music.
Music,
Yeah, interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hopefully that helps a little bit. Our friend Scott Randall says, hope finds you doing well. iPhone 11 Pro. Thanks for your explanation of why Apple decided on the Pro. Monica, I see it more clearly now. However, some journalists still believe it's not accurate. I don't care. Jason Cross at Macworld is not a journalist. He's a freaking idiot. Number 2, Apple TV Plus price versus Disney. You're correct. I cannot say for sure that Apple's pricing was affected by Disney's pricing. It is possible that Apple started out with this pricing because they don't have a large catalog yet. Number 3, iOS 13 Bluetooth issue. At first, I did not understand the Bluetooth issue in 13, but then as you explained it, it seems like protection for the user to stop unwanted sources of sending you crap and getting your contact information. That's what was happening. We all saw that when you first started opening up your apps in iOS 13. It kept saying this app wants to use Bluetooth, and basically you say no to everything because none of them need to use Bluetooth for the most part. Best Buy does not need to use Bluetooth. The only reason that Best Buy wants to use Bluetooth is so they can track you in their store. So they don't need access to that. He says, after reading this article by Renee Ritchie, I believe I may have done better getting the iPhone 8 than the iPhone XR. Mostly the XR is very good. It's fast and battery lasts a long time. The only thing both me and my wife miss is the home button. Neither of us are doing well with the swiping to get to the home screen or to be able to close apps. Remember, Scott, you don't have to close apps. There's no need to close apps anymore.
I'm learning that.
That's good. We have to swipe several times before we can get to where we want to go. I had to disable the side button from invoking Siri. I hit it accidentally all the time. I still take screenshots accidentally. So
I do too.
all the freaking time.
All the time.
All the time. I'm not sure, but I think things have gotten better since upgrading to 13.1. I don't think we'll upgrade these phones, so we absolutely have to. But when I read the prediction that the budget iPhone will take on the iPhone 8 form factor and will be the new iPhone SE. Whether we'll still have the home button remains to be seen. Unlikely. It probably won't have the home button. I know we are probably in the minority with this since my son and daughter-in-law say they have no problem, so I'll have to take a wait and see regards to you and Melissa. Michael says, in last week's podcast, you wondered why iOS 13 was released right before 13.1. He says, I wonder if it was because watchOS 6 requires iOS 13. I updated my Apple Watch Series 0, that's right, the original, which I've worn every day since new, to a new Series 5. When I tried to link my watch to my phone, it said I had to update iOS to 13 to get the new watch link. So, Michael, you're probably right. That's probably the reason why Apple kind of seemingly forced out iOS 13, even though it wasn't fully ready. Our friend Jason Painter in Sydney, Australia says, regarding the Apple Watch Series 5, the watch is mission critical to me as I track my health, especially workouts. Therefore, I buy the new watch every year. I also track my sleep, but I have a second watch for that. I also never install watchOS betas on my watch. During the Series 2 era, my watch died twice. That led me to buy a second Series 2 as a backup. I started to sleep with that watch. From that time forward, I always bought one new watch yearly, kept the last year's as my backup and sleep watch, and sold the oldest. I would like sleep tracking. I use AutoSleep, but a native solution would be better. A side note, if you have a Series 5 watch, you have to be running iOS 13 on your iPhone. This is another reason to rush it out. Thanks, Jason. He also says, Apple Arcade, I found that games divide into two best use cases, puzzle and action. Puzzle games play well on the iPad. Action games are far better on Apple TV, but you need a controller. While anxiously awaiting Apple Arcade on Apple TV, I was playing some games on iPad like Sneaky Sasquatch and Oceanhorn 2. by AirPlay mirroring, and the experience wasn't great. I agree. It was terrible. But I just, this afternoon, was testing out a couple of games with the Xbox controller, and they weren't very good either on the Apple TV. The Xbox controller, the Apple TV doesn't, or the games don't use all of the Apple TV, the games don't use all of the Xbox controllers in order to do the game. The D-pad didn't work on some of the games, and the controllers didn't work the way you'd expect them to on some of the games. One of the games was a side-scrolling race car game, but the controls weren't left and right as you would expect on a race car game. They were up and down. That was very confusing as you're driving left to right to have to go up and down to steer your car. So that was just a freaking nightmare and pissed me off no end. What else am I gonna do? I think that's it. That's it. We're done. That's it. You got anything else? Nope. I don't think so.
No.
No other questions? Comments?
No.
Next week, we're going to do a starting point photography segment on shooting fall colors. It's fall here in the Northern Hemisphere. Our Australian relatives are just going into spring for them. Jeez. Man. And so we're going to talk about why the fall is the best time for photography, in my humble opinion. Talk about that and much more. If you have any fall shots to use, you want me to show off, send them to me. Email on air at yourmaclifeshow.com, and we'll post them on the show next week. We're talking about shooting fall colors. That's it for tonight's show, folks. As always, I want to say thanks to our good friend Jim Dalrymple. Thanks to you guys for being tuned in, whether you're tuned in live or via the archive. And as always, to my lovely wife, Melissa. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Folks, that's it for tonight's show. I've been Shawn King.
I'm Melissa King.
And you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya.
Bye.